What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. Hope you're happy, safe, healthy. Want to wish you a very happy Monday, August the 25th, 2025. We have one day to go until the Dallas Cowboys have to be down to their final 53-man roster, which we all know is their initial final 53-man roster. And at this moment in time, we have 10 days to go until the season opener, week 1 on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles. I know we have a lot of thoughts on how that game's going to go. My main thought right now with football coming back, it's week 1 of college football. Let's go Sun Devils. Let's go Gators. My main thought is that next Sunday is going to be awesome. Even if the Cowboys lose, it's going to be incredible to sit back and hang out with Scott Hansen all day long. Watch my fantasy team. My fantasy draft for my league of record is tomorrow, Tuesday. So it's an exciting time, and it's exciting because I'm here with you. We're talking Dallas Cowboys football, best time of the year. We got daily videos, live shows all the time. Like the videos, subscribe to the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel. We have a lot of new people here, so in case you are new, what we do is I'm here. My name is RJ Ochoa. I covered the Cowboys, been doing so for about a decade now. You can hang out with me on any level of social media at RJ Ochoa is the way to do that on most platforms. But here on the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel for some things that are longer, obviously, if you're looking for videos, discussion, analysis, the occasional venting session, whatever, I'm your guy. I'm here. Like the video, subscribe, and we'll continue to hang out as the season rolls along. But today is Monday, as mentioned, and the Cowboys have a day to go until they have to be down to that initial 53. And at this moment, it's 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you're here later, I always tell you the time for stuff like this because it's very possible that information has come out and changed. And so I don't want you to be confused. If anything new has happened, I promise you that we have updated bloggingtheboys.com and I have updated my socials. Those are obviously things that I can handle on the go. I'm a husband. I'm a dad. I got a lot of things going on. I can't be in here all day. And that's just the way, the cookie crumbles. But that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the aforementioned bloggingtheboys.com. You can see we have a lot of things that you and I are going to be discussing today. But on the subject of roster cuts, if you find yourself between now and Tuesday's deadline, even right after the deadline at 4 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, the 26th, you can head on over to bloggingtheboys.com. This is what the homepage looks like. You scroll down right a little bit. Right there, you see Dallas Cowboys 2025 roster cuts tracker. We are tracking each and every single name that is released. We do this all the time. What's up, Jane, friend of the show? Here are all the players at this moment in time who have been released is one way to put it, but you can put it a different way if you want relative to each specific situation. Lyle Collins was the one who broke the seal for the Cowboys on Sunday. That was actually when that news came out. ESPN's Todd Archer was the one on it. Wow, I didn't even scroll right there. I don't know what happened. That was strange. But Lyle Collins, and then let me zoom in a little bit for you here. On Monday, we got a little bit more. Tommy Yarish of DallasCowboys.com. That should have an E right there. Nick Broker, autocorrect got me. I'll update that right now when I finish talking to you all. Nick Broker, Denzel Jackson, Josh Kelly, Tyler Neville, Troy Pride, John Stevens Jr., and Christian Matthew was given the injury designation. There are 8 reported cuts at this moment in time. Again, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time is where we're talking, how we're talking, when we're talking, and the Cowboys have 8 names. And let me say this. It is never enjoyable to talk about players getting cut or coaches getting fired, people losing their jobs. It would bother me greatly. It would hurt my feelings if somebody was celebrating me losing my job or wanting me to lose mine. That is never my intention here. I'm rooting for all these players to make the Cowboys roster, and certainly if they don't make the Cowboys roster, to make another team's roster. I hope they all have lots of opportunities and points of success in their lives. It's a very, very, very unfortunate time of year. As we are getting excited for football to return, it's sobering to remember that so many dreams are ending, so many lives are changing, and I think that's important perspective to keep as we look at the assembly of this 53-man roster. And that being said, at this point in time, again, through the first 8 names, there are no real surprises. I think you can make an argument that Lyle Collins might wind up back on the practice squad when this is all said and done, and that goes back to the initial 53-man roster that we talked about. There will be some posturing. There will be roster gymnastics. There will be players who the Cowboys carry initially on the 53-man roster only to put on injured reserve so that they maintain a level of eligibility to come back after being on that IR for 4 games or however long it ultimately winds up being. Not every player needs that. Trayvon Diggs is a candidate, obviously, who has not even a candidate at this point. He's been activated off of the PUP list onto the active roster and seemingly will not even have to go on injured reserve And the logic behind this is that you think the player, in this case Trayvon, can be back without having to miss 4 full games, and you don't want to burn that. You don't want to force him to have to miss 4, because the moment you put a player on injured reserve, they must miss 4 games. But at this point in time, no surprises, nothing that has really caught us off guard. But I do want to look at some updates from Monday's practice. So we'll go back to bloggingtheboys.com. This is how easy it is. We'll go here. We're just going to scroll through this because this was important. Let me get this video to stop playing. A few notes from Monday's Dallas Cowboys practice. So first of all, shout out Calvin Watkins of Dallas. The Dallas Morning News noted that starting left tackle Tyler Guyton was getting some work today. We'll see if he's ready for week 1 or week 2. If Tyler Guyton can play after the first week, after the second week of the season, that would be a massive win. Even if Tyler Guyton has to miss 3 or 4 weeks, remember that we thought that he was going to be done for the season. It is certainly not ideal for your starting left tackle to miss a game or 2 games or 3 games. But the fact that we are getting seemingly, theoretically, close to Tyler Guyton returning for the Dallas Cowboys is a massive, massive, massive win. We're talking about having an offensive line that we all have a lot of excitement around, a lot of confidence in, a lot of belief in stabilizing as a brand new young core. I know we've talked about that in different instances. So the fact that Tyler Guyton is seemingly so close to returning is one of the better pieces of news surrounding the Cowboys that we've gotten in quite some time. Now, if we go back to the updates on Monday, let's scroll down here. Joe Hoyt, my guy, also the Dallas Morning News, noting the Tyler Guyton situation. That's supposed to be Trayvon Diggs, but this is, I don't know why. We've got some technical difficulties, but Trayvon Diggs was back at practice as well, as I mentioned, being activated off of the PUP list. I've got some back end work to do clearly when I get done chatting with you all. But that is supposed to be a tweet of Joe's that shows Trayvon Diggs, not Tyler Guyton. Trayvon was back at practice. Anyway, this we'll come back to this. We'll come back to the Micah thing, I promise. But Patrick Walker of DallasCowboys.com noting that Jaden Blue, who was reported to have suffered a low ankle sprain during Friday's preseason finale against the Atlanta Falcons. Patrick noting that Jaden Blue was back at practice, which is seemingly a good sign for being ready for the opener 10 days from now. That's fantastic to see. Brevin Spanford returning, courtesy of Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Obviously, he'd been out for a little while. That's fantastic to see. And Nick also had a list of players. This is what I wanted to talk about in a little bit of a larger context. Not practicing for the Cowboys on Monday, per Nick Harris. Phil Maffa, Kalen Carson, Josh Butler, Savon Ravel, Peyton Turner, Ernest Brown IV, and Jonathan Mingo all are present, is what Nick noted. So the reason I wanted to talk about this is that Phil Maffa is among the players not practicing. And the reason I'm bringing that up to you is if Phil Maffa does not make the Dallas Cowboys 53-man roster, I'm going to be capital P pissed. I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be irate. And I really hate saying that because I don't want to argue against another person being on the team, another player having a job. That's not my intention. My intention is to describe how important it is for the Cowboys to keep Phil Maffa. He is a rookie. They drafted him. They have 4 years of team control. They haven't taken the running back position quite seriously enough in recent history, and having 2 young running backs like Maffa and Jaden Blue would really help stabilize the position for the foreseeable future. With all due respect to Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders, you need a little bit of consistency there. It's been a long time, as mentioned, since the Cowboys have had even that, just consistency in the running back room. And so for Phil Maffa to not make this team, I just don't understand. I don't think I'll be able to understand what the reasoning, what the rationale behind that would be, especially if it's in favor of keeping a veteran who you signed to a low-level 1-year deal. The logic is not logicking there. And so Phil Maffa better be on this team. I'm going to make sure to continue to say that out loud to try to manifest it, because that's really where my head is at here. But the fact that Phil Maffa is not practicing or was not practicing on Monday is kind of lighting the conspiracy theory part of my brain on fire, right? This is where you have to kind of anticipate the roster gymnastics. If you have followed the NFL, if you follow the Cowboys, this kind of thing does happen. A player gets hurt and all of a sudden a player can't be on the roster, right? And I'm not levying any accusations in any direction. I'm not accusing anybody of being a liar or anything like that. But sometimes players ultimately are hurt and are stashed on IR, whether that's IR before the finalization of the 53-man roster, which would mean their season is over, but they are a part of the organization, or this is happening to present an image so that if you're a would-be Team X, you're seeing Phil Maffa, and if he is ultimately cut by the Cowboys, you tell yourself, well, we're not going to bother putting in a claim because he's hurt. We don't need to do that. We'll prioritize this person or that person. There's a lot of posturing. There's a lot of gamesmanship. That's the way this thing, obviously operates here. And so maybe that's what's happening with Phil Maffa. There was no sign of him being injured or needing a day off or anything like that after the preseason finale. Granted, he didn't get into the game until very late, but it is strange, right? If you're just stating the facts, talking out loud, that all of a sudden he just wasn't practicing. Why wasn't he practicing? Maybe it wasn't injury related, but it is a little bit of a, I wonder what's going on there with Phil Maffa type of situation. And so there are a lot of games that are played when it comes to assembling this team. And from, for the record, I like that. I think you should play games. I think you should, achieve and establish each and every single kind of advantage that you possibly can. And so if that's what the Cowboys are trying to do, my hat's off to them. But if we're trying to examine what's happening here, I do wonder if they're trying to figure out a way to keep Phil Maffa without carrying him on the 53-man roster for reasons that they obviously feel are fair and warranted. Okay, so we glossed over one of the updates in the article that we wrote, and I'm going to get and check this and update it as soon as I'm done talking to you. Like I said, it's in the back of my mind. I know I need to do that. But last thing that we need to talk about before we get out of here today, Adam Schefter was on ESPN's Get Up on Monday morning, and let me pause this video again, and had this to say about Micah Parsons. Let's zoom in and then make sure, there you go. Even if he were out there a week from Thursday night, which there are certainly no assurances or indications he will be right now, he's going to be limited at best. Micah Parsons could not go in and play a full football game next Thursday night. And again, the Dallas Cowboys say an MRI on his back came back clean. He says there's still back tightness, a hard thing to argue with, and I have a feeling that these types of issues may hang over this team and this situation this season. Now, look, I'm not going to say anybody's wrong or anything like that, but if Micah Parsons had to go play a football game without even like mildly practicing for like a year, I still think I would trust Micah Parsons to be able to do that. So this idea or presentation of an idea that, oh no, just because Micah hasn't been practicing, he wouldn't be able to go play the Eagles. Is that ideal? Obviously not. We can logically all come to an agreement on that point, but the idea that he's just going to like be all, what do I do here? I have no idea. Like that simply would not be the case. So let's calm down with the exaggeration. This situation is dumb, to be very clear, but we don't have to get really dumb about how we discuss and analyze and assess it all together as one collective, sort of people. That being said, let's put the quote back up on the screen here because it's the last part that I think is interesting. Now, Micah has this back tightness. That's what Micah has said. Again, that isn't me levying an accusation. This is me just explaining the facts. Not even the facts. That's the wrong way to say it. This is me explaining the visualization of the facts. This is me explaining the facts as they are being presented to us. That's maybe the best way to look at it. Back tightness has been the literal reason why Micah hasn't practiced. Obviously, he's gotten treatment. He's gotten an MRI. Adam Schefter noted that the MRI came back clean. And so this could theoretically, seemingly, possibly, hypothetically reach a situation where the Cowboys say, dude, your back is fine. We've cleared you medically. And as Adam Schefter noted, and that's why I put the quote back up here, that would be hard to prove. Now, I'm a San Antonio Spurs fan. I know that upsets a lot of you, and I don't apologize. But I lived the Kawhi Leonard thing, right? Like we've seen that, in a number of different instances across all of sports. That's just the example that's always fresh on my mind. And so that being said, this could get really, really not cool. I don't want to like be all silly and hot takey and be like, this could get dramatic. I don't want it to. I want this situation resolved. But if we reach a place where it's now next Thursday, if the actual season gets here, if it's week 1, if it's time for the Cowboys to play the Eagles and there's no extension in place for Micah Parsons with the Cowboys, I'm making an assumption here, but I think we all agree that he's not going to play, right? Like we all kind of, why would he come this far to just, I don't want to say fold, but why would he come this far to just say at the very end, you know what, I'll play anyway, right? Like forget the part that we think he could play, but I think we all agree, like if we're following the ladder of logic, we all agree that there's no way that he's going to play at this point based on everything we know and everything we've seen without a new deal in place. Okay, great. So then what happens? Like what happens if we get to week 1, there's no new deal in place, and the Cowboys are medically clearing Micah, and he says, well, my back hurts. My back is tight. I can't play. And the Cowboys say, well, your back is fine from our assessment and from the tests we've conducted and the MRI. Like there's no medical reason that we can prove that you should be feeling the way you're feeling. Let's put the quote back up on the screen. Adam notes Micah Parsons could not go in and play a football game, blah, blah. And again, the Cowboys could say his MRI came back clean. He can say there's still back tightness, a hard thing to argue with, right? Like at the end of the day, Micah's saying my back hurts. And the Cowboys, this is all hypothetical. At the end of the day, in a hypothetical world, Micah could be saying my back hurts. And the Cowboys could be saying, well, there's no proof of that. And Micah could be saying, well, I don't care if there's proof. My back hurts. I can't play. And that is obviously an unfortunate tangent of this situation, this dilemma that shouldn't be here but is here, whatever, blah blah. That's when things, and again I say this in the least hot takey way possible, could get really 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 not cool. If now this turns into a game of, well, you said, I feel, you're not acknowledging, you should be doing this, there's no proof, I know there's no proof, but I feel it, I can't prove it, but I feel it. I mean, none of that is cool. None of that is conducive to winning. None of that is conducive to chill or to just, steady waters, which is what you obviously want from all of this standpoint as you navigate an NFL season. So yeah, like I know we feel like, oh, the season's about to get here, so this is going to be a break point for the Micah Parsons extension situation, but it could theoretically, and again, I'm saying this in the least dramatic way possible, invite and offer and open up an entirely new can of worms relative to potential points of tension between Micah Parsons and the Cowboys. And obviously none of us want to see that in any kind of capacity, but that is a potential reality that I think we have to consider as we get closer and closer and closer to the season beginning without any deal in place. It's worth mentioning that today is August the 25th, and the CeeDee Lamb deal was taken care of on August the 26th of last year. So tomorrow, Tuesday, we'll bring the 1 year anniversary of that. If you're telling yourself that it feels like the Micah situation is later than the CeeDee one, it is. It's just the way that the year lined up. CeeDee was signed with 13 days to go before the season began for the Cowboys last year, obviously, and Dak was signed on the day the season began. We're now at a 10-day countdown for Micah. So while it's technically earlier in the calendar, it's definitely further into or further closer. Closer is probably just the only word I need to say there. Closer to the season beginning than CeeDee Lamb. But either way, both situations, all three situations, if you throw Dak Prescott in there, went through training camp, through Oxnard, through the preseason. So you're talking about arguably the three best players on the team who you've done this with now in the span of 365 days, which is just a fantastic level of malpractice when it comes to, running a football team, which is an interesting way to do that. But okay, those are the updates we have today. I got to go get to work and update these things because it's been a busy day, in case that isn't obvious. But thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out. If you like hanging out with me, I'm posting all the time on X, Instagram, Threads at RJ Ochoa, TikTok, RJ.Ochoa. Go like my Facebook page. Go follow me on LinkedIn. Email is rj.ochoa@sbnation.com. Obviously, if you want to chat, you can comment on this video, like the video, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Football season's here, and I'm here every single day talking Dallas Cowboys with you, all of my friends. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Monday. I can't wait for college football. Go Sun Devils, go Gators. Going to be awesome. Whoever your teams are, I hope they do well, unless they, oppose my objectives and my wants and wishes. Then I hope they lose each and every single game. Thanks so much for hanging out, everybody, you guys. I'll see you tomorrow, and have a great day.